Hey everybody, Corey here. We're just going to do a final update for this month of the YMAG and YMAX data here. So we talked about this at the beginning, and I go in depth more on everything on the first video of this month. So I won't do that again, but I did want to show you where we ended, so we can see during that green period for the month of May. And here I'll do this so you can just see the month of May there. So starting with the payment date from the single stock ETFs. And I just do that, right, because a lot of people, if they're in the single stock, they have some in there, they get paid, and then they turn around and buy YMAG or YMAX. So that's where that green period starts. So anyway, between that date and the declaration date of, to include the declaration date of YMAG and YMAX, you can see that YMAG only increased by 7% shares there. And hold on, I just remembered that I have a mouse. Somebody had mentioned something about a pointer. The problem is the mouse is extremely fast, and I don't have a way to, or at least I haven't figured out a way to slow it down. But anyway, so here we can see this 7% that YMAG is increased, and then the 10% that YMAX has increased in share count. And then if we look back historically, right, we had 35 to 30, well, we had 35 and 34% in March, and then the February we can't really count because I didn't have every single day because I wasn't really doing this then. And then for the month of April, YMAG went up 24%, YMAX went up 34%, and this month, you see again, we only did 7 and 10. So I was reading these off of, oh, it's so fast, reading these. Then what I decided to do, man, okay, this mouse, I don't know. I guess one thing I can't do is I can't scroll. So on this side of the screen, what I ended up doing was actually putting the share count versus percentages, because the percentages will go down over time. So here, this is the first full month that we could count, 350,000 and 950,000. Again, YMAG and YMAX. And then for April, we went up a total of 375,000 and 1.35 million. So that's fairly similar. YMAG's about the same. YMAX went up a little bit. And then if we go on down to this month of May, we had half, or around half, of what we would normally have for YMAG, and the same thing, about half, depending on which numbers we're looking at, for YMAX. So yeah, just to show you some of that data there, should you care. And then we can see here what the ex-dividend buy-ins were, the ones that bought on the morning of. So we have 50,000 for YMAG and 300,000 for YMAX. But, okay, next, we want to see all the data and where we ended up. So we already, talked about declaration. Well, did we? Well, we talked about the declaration dates, but we didn't talk about those last two lines. But anyway, so if we look here at YMAG, this right here is the dividends that were paid, the almost 1.6 million, based on, the underlying, which was the single stock ETFs. And so that's what they received total. And then down here below on line 9 here for the ex-dividend date, this is what they would actually have paid out, at least based on the outstanding shares. So the difference between that is, 57,000, or so it means they would have paid based on that the outstanding shares, an additional 57,400, or rounded. which is 104% of the distributions that they received. And so you can see, because they went up 100,000 on the on the declaration date, 100,000 shares were bought in that day for a 4% increase. And then for a built-in buffer, there wasn't one. They did not, build in for additional funds to be paid out here. And then if we look over here in this area, again, if you'd held the underline, you would have received about 74 cents a share. And then, of course, this is what was ended up being paid. It's the same data at the bottom, which ended up being 11 cents less by holding YMAG versus the underline, 11 cents or 11%, 7%, 7% decrease in the yield. And I say that because this down here, this is a 14% decrease based on the distribution dollar amount. But otherwise, this is the same numbers as up there. And on the last day, if you see here, I know the last day that we did the video, we showed here that our estimated payout would be 64 cents. We just happened to get that. Obviously, I don't have all the 4 digits there, but it was just by luck that we hit that on the head there, that they used that amount and there was no buffer. But maybe they were thinking the same thing as I was, that, well, there's not that much buy-in into this one, so let's just do it at that amount. But yeah, if we would account this other 100,000 would have been accounted for in there, it would have been 61 cents a share. So just data, right? In case you care or think about this stuff, sometimes questions are asked, and there's like, well, we can include that here. And again, yeah, we had 64 cents. I had just moved it down because these numbers here change as we go throughout the days in the data. So, but 64 cents was what we had. And then if we move over to YMAX here, we can actually see that there was no buy-in on the declaration date with this one, unlike the others. But I guess I jumped ahead. So here, they the dividends that they actually received, or the distribution they received from the underlying, was 5.26 million. But what they paid out was 5.18 million. So therefore, they have some funds that weren't paid out here, which they paid out. If you look at that percentage-wise, that is 98%. And then they ended up having a built-in buffer for an additional 100,000 shares. However, again, there were no purchased or no additional shares there. And so here, just to go over like we talked about on the other one, if you'd held the underline, you would have got about 87 cents a share. If you, by holding YMAX, you got about 73 cents a share. And the difference price on that is about 14 cents. And then if we look at the reduction of the actual dollar distribution amount, that's a reduction of 16%. All right, and then, again, we just got lucky on this one. I think I said it was 72 or 73%. I guess I should save these daily. Not percent. 72 or 73, and that's because the average was 73, and then I think that day that we did it, the fund declaration to actual was 72, so that's why we had said 72, 73 cents. So again, we just got lucky there, but it was pretty close on these, even though I know I don't have mine out to the 4 digits. I don't know what they would have been based on that, since it wasn't on our spreadsheet. And then we go over here to our other data, and if you recall, in February we didn't have all the numbers there, so I've just actually I did have a total line. I guess lost that in changing the spreadsheets up. But here we can just sort of see this roll up here, the dividends received, and this is for how many shares that they had at the time. And then here, this is the actual dividend paid with that yield. So this was the expected, the number of shares expected to pay a dividend on was 2.5 million. But in the end, they ended up paying based on 2.6 million. So they were over just a little bit because this is the dividend they paid out versus this. It's just a little different way to look at that data. And then, of course, we have percentages here. But you can see also the previous months, they had some extra funds left over from those. So that's also another reason why they may have not really had a buffer there. So then if we move over to YMAX, we'll see the same data here. This was the dividend amount that they received that we already showed, and it was based off of, it was for 6,050,000 outstanding shares. And then they did a distribution for YMAX of 73 cents with a 43% yield, which was enough to pay 7,175,000 in outstanding shares. However, they only paid distributions based on 7,075,000 shares. Therefore, oh, I guess let me scroll back over. Hold on, I just want to double check this because I don't think that was the number over here. So let me make sure we have, maybe it was. It was not. So let's make sure, see which one of these was correct. So there we go. I fixed that on the computer. What happened was is I copied over some formulas, but they were anchored to a they were anchored over here to this, to the YMAG. So I just had to change the formula to make sure that it was pulling from YMAX instead. So now we can see that correct amount there where they've overpaid, they ended up having extra money there, but you can see also they had extra money from the first one as well. And I don't think, nope, there's nothing else on this spreadsheet. So the only other thing I think, real quick, I did update this right here. You can't see, I guess, the months here. I should put that over. But if you scroll over, so that takes us through May now. So before we didn't have May there, obviously. And we don't have a big difference in the dollar amounts and percentages that we've had the last few months. So let's make sure that this average, that average has to be taken into account there because, okay. So that's the average. Of course, it was more than 25 cents off, but with that one being so low this last time, same thing over here. They were about the same, 25, 26 cents, but with this last one be a big difference. We'll see how it goes in future months here. We just didn't have that many people buying in this last time that we have the previous months. So we'll see. I don't know. I know lots of people, praise this. Well, they praise YMAX. I don't know that I've heard anybody, happy about YMAG itself. But I hear a lot of people out there really like these funds. Myself, looking at this and doing all these numbers, to me, it's more beneficial to hold the underlying if you're willing to do that little bit of work there, which is why I did the YMAX project to show the difference. And I did do it again for this last month with an extra $1,000 to see how those would go. In fact, I added an extra project. It was before I was just doing it the the YieldMax way, right? Equally weighted, at least as equally weighted you could get, right? With only $1,000, it makes it a little hard if you're doing even shares. But then last month we had seen that it looked like, at least for that month, it was beneficial to just held the even number of shares versus trying to be equally weighted. So then also this month I did another account doing equally weighted with the same amount of funds in it. So I do have those projects running on the side. But anyway, just wanted to give y'all the update to see how everything ended up coming out. And again, getting the estimates right was a fluke. It will not happen. Probably, it might not even ever happen again. So, yeah, just to put that out there. So don't rely on these numbers. They are, as you see, we're just doing calculations. And then we have some estimates in there based on historical as far as, changes in some of the distribution amounts and everything between certain time frames. So we just got lucky there because that data had came from this section here, during the week, and these numbers. This one was based on the first time. It was about 5 or 6%, so I'd left that one. This one was actually, for one of them, I think was 16% in the previous, or not last time, but the time before. One was 16, and I think one was 11 or 12, and this last time they were both about 12, so I just changed them. So again, those are, factors here, throwing that in there to come up with these estimates that are not necessarily, stable percentages that we can count on every month. But anyway, I hope y'all have a great day, and I hope y'all enjoyed the content in this video. I will talk to y'all later. Thanks. Bye.